Well, very good afternoon here from the Dewar Centre in Perth for the final of the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. We have in the ladies competition Team China against Team Schwaller from Switzerland. Two teams that come into this final on a completely unbeaten record. Who will come away with that Mercure Perth Masters trophy at the end of the day? We will know in 8 short ends time. My name is Peter Mackay. I'll be taking you through the action for the first hour or so of the ladies final and then on to the men's final starting at 1 o'clock local time, but not left alone in the commentary box, thankfully. Joining me is a member of one of Perth's great curling institutions, Dr. Ardor Curling Club, and glider pilot, James Davidson. You thought I'd forgotten about that, James?
Yes, I was hoping you had. Anyway, no, yes, thanks for that. Yeah, one of the great curling institutions, Dr. Ardor Curling Club, here in Perth. No, it's going to be a great afternoon. Like you say, we've got two really good teams. They've not set a foot wrong yet in the competition, so it all comes down to the final. They both deserve to be here. They both played really, really well. And we're hoping for some really good action, if not in this first or second end. Hopefully in the next few ends we'll start to get some stones in play when one of the teams are going to have to start making a move at some point, and then we should start to see the action unfold. But unfortunately this does happen at the start of games. Sometimes there's a little bit caution. We're not, the teams are just feeling their way into the ice and just how it's running, and they just go through the first couple of ends and just go through some hits, and it's not great for the commentators or indeed the viewers sometimes when you're just playing hit after hit. But hopefully that won't last too long and we'll get into some action on the next end.
That we will, yes. The last stone advantage is in the hands of Team China after they won the draw shot challenge. But yeah, working through in this early end here, it's almost, if you were to liken it to a boxing match, it's kind of like the early sparring, each team sizing one another up. And the good thing is that we'll get through a little bit quicker because we've had some pretty lengthy games. No time clocks, of course, this week, and that's certainly had an impact, hasn't it, with some of the games where we've been close to 2.5 hours for 8 ends.
I know.
You wouldn't get your money's worth in a club game with that sort of speed, would you?
No, you definitely wouldn't. Need a bell like we do on the Super League nights to stop this going so far. But no, I think they're taking advantage of the fact that there's no time clocks, for the discussion, with what shots, and actually sometimes that's not a good thing. I think you can talk about it too long and you kind of get into your head with all the different options. A lot of the time it's, your first gut instinct of what shot to go for, that's usually the right one. That's usually the one they always go back to as well. But unfortunately, without the time clocks, it just does give them that extra time, and a lot of teams have been using it.
So Team Schwaller throwing a stone right to the back of the house there. I mean, their intention is to try and make it as challenging as possible for the Chinese team to blank this end and maintain their last stone advantage. You're thinking, why would you not want to score one? When you can score one, why would you score 0? Well, the whole point of scoring 0, blanking the end, is to maintain that last stone advantage. If you only score 1 with that last stone advantage, that is not going to win you a game, particularly in a final like this. So you'll see teams actually deliberately blanking the end rather than scoring 1 to maintain that last stone advantage, head on to the next end and hopefully score 2 or possibly even more. But also a good opportunity here for the teams to get a good look at how the ice conditions are, so they know where it's going on certain parts of the sheet. Of course, they've not had that big a break really since the semi-final. Just a couple of hours since the end of the semi-final, but not an issue fitness-wise for these international athletes. So the opening end is blanked, and they score 0-0 after one end of play, one nice and swift end of play. Team Rave 1, they beat Team Hurleman in the semi-final 6 shots to 4 to squeak through into this final, but they come into this event with some real form behind them. 5 top 5 finishes in their last 5 events. Team Genia Schwaller, they're also in good form as well. 5 wins out of 5 so far this week, and are currently ranked 9th in the world, so one of the very top lady teams in the world. So on world ranking alone, the Swiss team are theoretically the favourites, but if anything this week has been anything to go by, there's been quite a few upsets up and down both the men's and the ladies' draw.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially on the men's side, I think there's some teams that probably underperformed, wanted to do a little bit better. But we've got the two teams that come to the top in these competitions. They are they're the ones that deserve to be there. So you can't really argue with that.
So interestingly, Team China, actually, we just missed it on our shot there, that actually China nosed the Swiss yellow and took one. So first slight error actually for Team China there.
Yeah.
Which was a bit of a surprise, and that was where the Swiss team had put the stone at the back. It was in a slightly tricky position, and yeah, just came through, hit it on the nose, and took one. So that's a little bit of an error. You think Team China going into the lead here, that would be a good thing, but not necessarily. However, Team Schwaller have made an error of their own with a complete miss of a stone right in the middle of the house.
Yeah, that's unusual. That's not a frosty path out wide or something like that. That should be bread and butter, straight out the hack, straight down the middle. But and it didn't look like it looked like it stayed straight there. I mean, it didn't overswing. It looks like it just didn't swing enough for them. So I don't know whether that was thrown a little bit hard or whether it just didn't curl like they thought it would down that side of the ice.
Very interesting indeed. So an opportunity here then for Team China to begin to build an end. They do not have last stone, of course, and they're looking at coming a little bit on the high side here, a little bit heavy coming into the house. The ice conditions look to be catching out the players so far.
Yeah, interestingly, I don't think that curled as much as they thought it was going to either, or at least as quickly. So coming a little bit deeper than they thought. So a chance here for the double and to get back on track with keeping the Reds clear out the house. It's just what they want to do.
Bit of a chance for redemption here for second player Fabienne Rieder. Going to play this on the in turn, right down the centre line. Plenty of weight. Sweepers able to on off, control the stone. It's always a good sign. And away they go. Crisis averted.
Yes, indeed. And they lost the shooter. Don't be too disappointed with that. What that does, though, when you don't keep the shooter in place, is it does allow China to put the stone wherever they want, wherever they think that will be most difficult for Team Schwaller. So it just kind of gives them an open draw to the house. So you can see they've chosen to put it back to the centre line again. They could have chosen to put it out wide on a different path on a different fresh bit of ice so that they could hope for an error from Schwaller using a line that's not been used yet. But this will give them a chance as well to see how the draw's doing, what the speeds hog to hog are, and just how much the stone's curling, make sure they're given the right ice. And that's right on the tee line, so they will have got a good split time from that, and that could come useful.
That would be very useful indeed. Yes, I'm just looking out my stopwatch to go get the times on, because this is one of the great things. You know, when I first started playing curling, you would time from the tee line to the hog as you were letting it away, and usually something around 3 seconds would be about right. But the game has moved on where they're timing it from hog line to get an idea of what the true pace of the ice is. So Schwaller team looking to try and set up a corner guard here.
Yeah, it's an interesting call after the first few stones. You know, you think if they're going to do that, they should do it a bit earlier, but they've decided just to see how China are going to react to this. China could have ignored it. They could have just put a guard on that centre stone, which wouldn't have been terrible either, but they've decided to hit this guard and try and see if they can get the best of both worlds. Want to get rid of the yellow and at the same time roll across to the centre line and use that shooting stone as a guard as well, but hit it just a little thin and they're going to spin right through the rinks here.
Will they stick to that tactic now here, Team Schwaller? Yeah. It's a little bit of a thinking going on here. Now, if you've been joining us through the week on the perthmasters.com page or indeed on the Perth Masters YouTube, good if you want to get it up on your television with a good picture. you may have noticed we've had some of the players mic'd up. We will do in the men's final. We're going to have hopefully both men's skips mic'd up so we can hear the crucial tactical discussions, and hopefully not too many pieces of Rudy language coming off the top of my. Hopefully not. They'll be well warned.
They will be well warned, but we just hope for the best, and we apologise if there is any later on. But we unfortunately just didn't have enough mics to mic up all the skips for the ladies' game and the men's game. We would like to have got some of the discussions and discussion points from both games if we could have, but unfortunately we just don't have enough radio mics to do everybody.
So third player, Johan, coming down here, going to try and remove the Swiss guard and roll into the centre, and does so beautifully. That's an excellent shot there from Johan. That
is a much better shot. Got rid of the yellow and got the 2-for-1, got the guard on and got rid of the yellow.
I hope you've been enjoying our coverage over the last few days of one from every draw. I think we've had in total 15 games, something like that. So I hope you've enjoyed it all. And we've even got our own Chinese translation service or pronunciation service. My wife Lucy has helped us out with the pronunciations for these 4 Chinese players.
So you've absolutely no excuses, Peter, is
none,
what you're saying.
none
at all.
No, it's all down to me now. What a terrifying thought. She's absolutely not watching this while working at the same time. I'm sure many people are in the same.
Well,
same
exactly.
situation.
The first Monday back after the new year, I think there'll be a few people on a slow start. So this will be a good way to. It's on their lunch break as well. Most people will be on their lunch right now. So I think get the curling on while you have your toasty and cup of soup. Keep warm.
I went for one of our wonderful catering team here at Jewers Rink. Went for one of their excellent sausage rolls. It's got me fueled up for the start of this ladies' final and indeed the upcoming men's final between 2 Scottish teams, Team Muirhead and Team Carson. It's going to be a thriller, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Good stone there from the Swiss, bumping the Chinese red stone back.
Yep, just perfect weight, just back 4 foot.
Team Schwaller really in good form. They're winner of the 2024 World Junior Championship. Now that's a very good stone there again from the Chinese, just bumping that yellow out of cover. It makes things a little bit more challenging now for the Swiss. They're going to have to play a very delicate draw here, I think.
Yeah, they'll be looking for something similar, I think. Just bump that red, just back 4, and try and leave a little nest at the back of reds that they can draw to.
So the third player, Selina Gaffner, with her second stone, of the second end. Broom's working it hard though. Is it starting to curl now? They've got to try and get this past the guard. Arms will be burning now, trying to get it by after a long weekend of curling, and it's not made it past. Oh dear.
I was about to say all those hours in the gym paying off.
Mm-hmm.
Just couldn't hold it, just tickled that guard. It's not a bad place for the stone to end up though. I mean, it's usable there. It's what we call the control zone, right at the top of the 4 foot, anywhere at the front of the rings inside that 4 foot area. You can use those stones to help to control the end, so they can tap that up, they can angle in off of it, they can make that very usable later on, and that's what China are looking at. They don't like it being there.
And if anything, just rubbing the guard slightly to the side has actually improved the position of their yellow stone that's sitting second shot at the moment.
Yep.
It's very tight. So if really getting to the inside of that Yellowstone is now much more difficult.
Yeah, and the natural angle, if they come down here and tap that, is back onto that red at the back of the 4 foot as well. So that'll help to jam things up if that's what they look to do. If they're not really tight to this guard and don't get to the nose, which is what they'll be looking to do.
Sort of half check it, sort of freeze onto it in the
right
corner
on
side.
Right on the front or on the very corner, so that the next stone they could punch it between those 2 reds, but. Yeah, just something, a little finesse shot here required. just to try and change up the angles and make things a little bit better for them. It's not sitting really well right now.
So first stone of the second end then for Ray 1, the 29-year-old. It's over 15 seconds hog to hog, so ice is quick, really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, for 15 seconds to make it all the way down there.
And they've got it right to tee as well.
What a peach.
Yeah.
Peach of a shot there, and that makes life challenging for the Swiss team. Not impossible though, if they can catch. I mean, it's very fine margins. If they can nudge the edge of their own yellow, they can get it to be shot, but it's a big if, and they're not thinking about that at this stage. They've got 2 stones left. The Chinese have 1.
Correct. That is a really marginal shot. I mean, you got to hit that exactly. There's no margin for error on that sort of tickle in on that left-hand yellow.
Well, the team doing the percentages, if you can get 101%, that stone would qualify. That's 100 plus gold star shot there.
I think that's the shot to play. I think they're looking at nudging that yellow up that they played earlier that rubbed off the guard and ended up at the top of the house. That's going to come into use for them. So I think if they can run that back right in between those 2 reds and just change up the angle again and then just kind of wriggle in towards the button from there, that would be ideal. But they've got more margin for error on that one. If they run it back and it's slightly wide, the red should still push below the yellow and out to the back of the rings if they wanted to do that as well. Or if they hit it on the nose, that would be fine too. So I think there's more room for error here.
On the shopping list for the 2026 Perth Masters is digital crayons for our...
Yeah, do you know, drawing some lines?
Yes.
We'll get on to that. We'll get on to that for next year. We'll talk to the production team.
The tech team have done an amazing job all weekend, bringing live and free coverage. And what a cast of commentators we've had, and us.
We're very, very lucky in Perth with the expertise that we have in and around the Perth area, and the ex-world champions, the ex-Olympic teams and Olympic champions, and a lot of curling experience that have been guiding us through these games. But unfortunately, none were available for the final. They ended up with you and I, Peter.
Exactly. We bring a more light-hearted entertainment programme, but we'll have Alan Hanna joining us a little bit later on for the men's final, who I think it's fair to say he qualifies as a genuine expert.
A genuine expert.
It's probably the understatement of the weekend. But right, the Swiss team here. First stone for Xenia Schwaller. Her brother Kim playing for Team Stalker, playing some great curling. Unfortunately didn't make it through to the quarters, but
yeah, nice shot.
Oh, good shot. That's about the best they could hope for there.
Yeah.
Nice controlled weight. Well played. Well, we only had one end of strike, and that was only because the first lead stone went into the house. Otherwise, we would have been straight into it. But with this new centre guard rule, I think it's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
For the sport as an entertainment prospect, if a guard stone lands on the centre line, it cannot be moved, let alone removed, for the first 5 stones of the end, and that is just a game changer. We then get these brilliant cat and mouse battles.
Yeah.
All the way through. Each end is a story in itself.
I think it was essential to change something. I mean, the chasing team, if you start to get your nose in front and you're 2 shots ahead or maybe even 3 shots ahead, the chasing team is so difficult with trying to get guards up when you could tick them off the line, and the teams were getting so good at hack weight, just kind of moving that guard off the centre line and just opening it back up again, and the chasing team were just no chance. So I think this kind of gives them a chance. It lets them set the end up without having those stones removed, and then makes for better games. I think more stones in play, better angles, more finesse shots, and both for the viewer, but I think it's a better range of shots as well for the players. It gets them to showcase the kind of shots that they can play and should be playing, you know, and to start to win a curling game.
So big discussion going on here then for the Chinese team.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of different options there, and I think they've finally decided to get rid of their own guard.
Or are they running their own guard?
running it back into their own
and if they nose it, then the idea is that potentially the two yellows could go here. You get a little bit of a reverse kick from the red Chinese stone beside the brush there of third player Johan.
There could be a lot of reward here, but
big risk.
It's a lot. It's a big old gap between the guard and the stone that they're trying to hit.
So Ray Wong playing this.
It's not a heavy weight.
Not playing this with a very controlled weight.
In fact, they're not playing the guard.
No, they're not.
Like
So they trying to play a skinny wick away from. Are they actually parking the bus here?
They're just stopping. It's a guard. They called a guard on that yellow stone.
Okay.
So basically, they're just trying to stop that tap up happening again.
If so, it's over curled slightly.
Wow. Okay. I think that stops that angle. They can get to the yellow, but it stops them angling it in towards the house. So they've got to play the red to yellow now, and that makes it just that little bit harder.
We've become used to, in finals of the Mercure Perth Masters, seeing some of the most outrageous shots you'll ever see. Last year in the men's final, Ross White pulled off a shot I still can't quite fathom it, but it lives, it's immortalised on Instagram. If you go on the Team White Instagram page, you'll see it. And for Xenia Schwaller, the shot that they're looking at here would certainly qualify for that Instagram reelable shot. So they're wanting to bump onto the Chinese red furthest right as we look at it, onto their own yellow, which then springs forward onto their other new yellow for two.
To nudge it to the button.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a proper for
John
fans
Virgo
of
trick shot.
Yeah, you beat me to it. Yeah.
All right, sorry.
For those who didn't watch Saturday evening television in the late 1990s, John Virgo was a professional snooker player who came on to a shot. Now, what was it? It wasn't the Big Break was the name of the program with Jim Davidson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No relation?
No. I'm happy to say.
That was one of my favourite programmes when I was a kid.
That was always on the telly in our house as well. Dad loved the snooker.
Snooker and you tonight. Big Break. Right. Xenia Schwaller channeling her inner John Virgo here.
Trying to make it curl.
It's not far off.
They're looking for it straight. They look. Has it got it? It's not far away.
It's a fine effort. It's not bad.
What.
I think
They've
she
got
might have pulled
second
it
shot out
off.
of
She's
it.
pulled it off. Wow.
They've got two out of that. Well
Wow.
That-
Xenia Schwaller, that is a grandstand shot for two there. So Team Switzerland go into a 2-1 lead. And for me, we've watched a lot of curling over the last few days. That's one of the finest shots I've seen all weekend.
That was great. So well controlled by the sweepers on the way down, curling it initially, then trying to keep it straight. They could actually let it curl a little bit more, but they got it just enough. Played the red onto the yellow, and just tapped it. And the weight was perfect just to get that second shot. They couldn't play it any harder. They would have gone right through it. Would have spun that yellow away. So really good weight, really good line. Very well. A good team shot there, I think, as well. Yeah,
the sweeping had to be absolutely perfect, as well as the delivery. And I guess if you're Team China there, you're thinking, well, we made it as difficult as we could, and we've only lost two. It wasn't a bigger end than that. 2-1, still very much game on after two ends.
Yeah, they made them earn it, and they did. And sometimes that's all you can do. You can just make it as difficult as you can for the other team. But if the other team play the shot, you just have to tip of the hat and well done, and move on to the next end.
It's quite an act to follow for the men's final.
It will be.
This has been really good stuff so far from both teams. Now, interestingly, that's coming all the way into the house there for Team Schwaller.
Calling China's bluff here, saying and they're going to put up a corner guard. I've not seen. Do you know? There's a lot of teams that put up a corner guard. I've rarely seen a stone end up behind it and actually be a counting stone these days. The corner guards rarely get used, but
I guess a lot of it depends on what the ice conditions are, how much it's curling as well, and how valuable those corner guards actually are. And
I wonder if it's this rule with putting up the centre guards and they can't be removed that actually then starts to draw the play around the middle. That stops them being used, but that guard not doing its job, drifting into the house. So
It's looking pretty quick. That was 14.8 seconds hog to hog.
Yeah.
And coming all the way in.
So that's Team Schwaller straight down. Let's get rid of that. We roll across on top of their own yellow would be lovely here. That's what they'd really like to see.
Ideal scenario. They're wanting it to curl a lot. You can see that directional sweeping there. Really working it hard, chopping across the stone, trying to get it to curl. Just a little bit on the inside there.
It's okay, won't be too
Not
unhappy
bad.
with that.
Yep.
Now, Team China deciding, okay, this isn't going to plan already after one stone.
Clear the deck. Yeah, clear the deck. Yeah, just a little bit tight there for Selina Rajchikar.
And I think what's probably worrying China here is the separation between the stones. I think normally you would take to stone 2 or stone 3, stone 3 before you actually then decided, are we bailing on this end or are we actually going to try and get our 2? But I think with the separation on those 2 yellows already, they're a bit worried that if they tried a corner guard or a freeze or something there, that they could get into a lot more trouble than they were in. So erring on the side of caution.
So Xenia Schwaller calling for a fairly controlled weight here to remove the Chinese red stone here and then roll across to the kind of corner of the 8 foot. The idea being trying to have them as level as possible, but that's just going to catch it on the nose. Ideally wanted a bit more separation than that to roll the shooter over to the left as we look at it. So again, kind of repeat purpose here for Team China to come down here, catch the yellow stone just off the centre line on the inside, roll across and remove the other one, and ideally keep the shooter in there as well.
Yeah, I think they get another bite at this one, see if they can roll that red across onto the yellow a little bit.
It's going to roll across the nose of it. Aha,
Just a
now.
bit too much.
So now an open opportunity to place the stone, make it sound like it's easy, but to draw to exactly where they want that stone and to be. And with the way that the modern sweeping game is and the quality of the sweeping, it's easier than it used to be to do that. And the importance of good sweepers is just massive. You look at the top-ranked men's team in the world, Team Mao, you look at the way that Hammy McMillan and Bobby Lammy get stuck into a stone and the things that they can do with a stone with sheer grunt and technique is remarkable. This looks a little on the heavy side though, and it's not curled much at all.
Yeah, I think they were expecting a good bit more curl out of that.
But
That's maybe why it's gone deeper. But
yeah, good point. It's still a fairly challenging roll over though. So we're talking 2 feet away. For us at the club level, it's we would be pretty chuffed with that one.
Yeah.
I would be borderline delirious with that one.
Yeah,
but at this level, it's not quite.
It's a shot you retire on. Is it?
Oh, fantastic!
Great shot.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy double.
No,
It's quite flat. It's
No.
good. Well played.
And that brings things under control for Team China. They didn't want to see the Swiss crew just get away from things a little bit. It's still so tightly poised after 2 ends. 2 shots to 1 here. Both teams with a completely unbeaten record, remember, in this tournament. Both with great results behind them coming into this week. And yeah, they've put on a great show all week. Of course, World Championships not far around the corner. Team China, of course, will be there.
Yeah.
Nice controlled weight there. It's going to just roll to the edge. Is it going to be left counting? No. Well, maybe just, but it doesn't really. Yeah, for Team Schwaller, they don't want to take the chance here. They just want to make sure that it's nice and clean and tidy. Don't give the Chinese team any opportunity to score a 2. A blank is absolutely fine for them. And the forcing Chinese to 1 is even better.
Curling it hard. Is it going to get there? Yes.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely fine. If you're joining us on the Perth Masters YouTube page, a very warm welcome to you wherever you're watching in the world. I understand we've got audience from Tenerife today as well, which is exciting.
Yes.
We've got very much an international audience. To let us know where you're watching in the world, who you're cheering for in this ladies' final, and indeed in the men's final, which will be starting in a little over 15 minutes' time. On the neighbouring sheet, and we'll try and keep on top of both games as best as we possibly can. So Team China trying to draw over towards the outer edge of the 8 foot here, try and make it as difficult as possible for the Swiss team. So Jenny Schwaller wasting absolutely no time. Straight back to the hack. Of course, these teams used to playing at the international level where they're always on the clock, so they've kind of got a natural rhythm of how they play, and when a decision is made, back to the hack and get on with it. They want to, normally when they're on the clock, they'll want to bank as much thinking time as they can.
Yeah. Absolutely. Team China, I've noticed in the games I have watched them in this week that they are fairly decisive anyway. There's not many ends where they'll sit and discuss stuff. And even when the discussions do happen, they tend to make a decision quite quickly. So they are a team that likes to play very quickly. Anyway, and I think on ends like this, there's no need to get everybody sliding up and down the ice and discuss stuff. Ends like this, you just need to get on with it, know what you've got to do.
Yeah. We even saw in one of the games, Team Easily, where the skip actually staying down the throwing end because there was no decision to make. So he just says he trusted the third player, and you could always come back if there was a need to.
I sometimes do that as well. It's just because I can't be bothered sliding down the other end sometimes.
I've left my glider at that end, so
I'll just stay here. That and trust my third implicitly.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So back to sparring again. Just waiting for that opportunity. This all kind of started again in the same way as the first end, where a lead stone, which was called to be a guard, was just a touch heavy into the house it came, and then that kind of triggers this back and forth scenario.
Yeah, lead stones are so important to set the end up, and if they don't get them where they need to be, then, with the rules as well, it gives them, if they're too deep, gives you the opposition the opportunity to hit it. You've got to get that guard zone, you've got to hit the centre line. It's very important to set that end up, especially in the latter stages where you might need to score a 2 or you have to make a steal. They become more and more important as the game goes on, so you really have to get those lead stones in a good place. And this will suit Team China out at the moment. All these hits out wide in the wings, just that slightly different path that makes it a little bit more difficult for the other team. And you'll see that Team Schwaller trying to roll that towards the middle again, because that's where they want the game to be, right in the centre.
Makes it as difficult as possible for China to make the blank. Makes
yes,
the target
exactly.
area smaller.
So you would think, why is that? But the closer you are to the centre line, then if they are slightly off, it gives the largest distance to roll to actually exit the rings. So that if they don't get it shallow enough, if they don't hit the side of the stone and hit it near the middle, then it only rolls a small way. Then they're not going to roll right out the rings, and so it increases the chance of a mistake again. Very similar to what they made in the first end. So we have seen it, and we might see it again. But here we are.
Yes, it was the skip. Ray Wong who made that error in the opening end to take one, but not this time.
Nope.
Perfect.
Exactly what you
So
want.
a blanked end then here. High fives all round for the Chinese team and big smiles. And that allows them to maintain that last stone advantage going into the third end. So it's tightly poised here in the ladies' final of the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. Team Schwaller from Switzerland lead Team China by 2-1. If you're watching around the world on perthmasters.com or the Perth Masters YouTube page, a very warm welcome to you, and we take the opportunity to say a huge thank you to all of the partners who support the Mercure Perth Masters year on year, with the City Mills Hotel, the Mercure Perth Hotel, a real historic venue in the town here. And if you're coming to visit our fair city, if you're on your holidays in Scotland, do stop in and spend a night in Perth and enjoy what our fair city has to offer. Also to A&B Taxis, the leading local taxi company, who will get you home swiftly and safely if you're out enjoying the festivities in Perth, or further afield indeed, can do airport runs or whatever you need. A fantastic firm and a long-time supporter of this championship. Also to the Scottish Deer Centre, just outside of Cooper. A great day out for all of the family. A huge thank you to all of our partners for this year's event. It's been a real cracker and a great way to kick off the year as always. And yet again, in this fourth end, we've seen a lead stone come into the house. Ice running quickly today.
Yeah, I think that was Team Schwaller. I think they're happy to bring the play into the house and force the hand of China. So you can see they're calling the guard again. So it's the same setup as there was in the last end. Bring the first stone into the house for the defending team, and then knowing that they'll get a free guard after this, and kind of playing like you say, a bit of cat and mouse with China just to see what they're going to do. China, no mistakes this time on the guard. It's a little bit long, but it's in the guard zone. So now we'll see something a little closer to the house on the centre line from Schwaller. Now they've got the stone in the house. Easier than having to come round the guard.
But being just on the centre line isn't quite going to do it. It's almost going to have to be just on the left side of the centre line as we look at it.
That one's over curled, so it won't give them the protection, but the question is, will China go after it? I've got a feeling that they will. If they put something short of the house here, I think China again will try and use it.
It's a little bit on the heavy side
this
here
is
for
coming in.
Selena Reischiger. So
A little bit deeper than they wanted, so you'll see China use this and roll across and try and get another guard out of this, or get something just biting the house behind their own guard.
yeah, it's a fine angle here because Team China, they want to hit it just to their right of nose, just to our left, enough to remove that yellow stone at the top and remove the other yellow stone on the top of the 4-foot circle, just under the ER of Perth, and also roll the shooter over. So there's a lot of things that need to come off here. It's maybe just on the high side for now, but here it comes now, starting to curl. They're really using that chopping, sweeping, trying to get it to move across. A very fine effort indeed. It didn't quite remove the other yellow stone. Now an opportunity for the Swiss to take their own control.
Get rid of the red, get a centre guard up.
So Team China with the last stone here after the previous end was blanked.
Nice shot.
Yeah, very, very good. That's more like it. So Team China looking to remove the yellow stone of Team Switzerland here beside the skip's brush, Ray Wang's brush, and roll across behind cover here. They ideally, if they could score a 2 here at the halfway point, go into the lead, it would, psychologically would be huge. And if they get held to just 1, that kind of effectively switches the hammer over, and we've got a 4-end shootout for the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. Going to catch the other side of the stone though. than what they were ideally looking for. So Jenny Schwaller having a little pontification over what to do here.
Yeah, I think she's just worried there. If they play the hit and roll behind their own guard, then it just lets China run that guard back and take the double, as they did on the previous end. So just deciding, do they want to keep the play out there, hope for a miss, and then draw one round that centre instead and sit with two in the house? But
interestingly, there, Chief Ice Technician Paul Martin having a very, very close watch of this ladies' final, preparing the sheet for the men's final, which will start imminently. They'll be going out to do the draw shot challenge shortly. There he goes. Paul, an absolute master of his craft. I wouldn't even like to say how many years he's been in charge of the ice here. That would age him slightly, but
yeah, absolutely. No,
he's been a long time.
Doing a fantastic job.
Winner of the, or was awarded the Graham Shaw Spirit of Curling Award at the banquet on Saturday night. So big shouts from the Chinese skip there, trying to get this double takeout.
Yeah, see, that's what Team Schwaller were worried about. They said if they roll behind there, they're just going to run that back and do and do a double, which is what they've done. And they can come round this centre, but it's now a red stone that China are running into the house. And if they do get the takeout or jam it, then it's less of a problem for them, and actually probably more along what they would want. So I would give a slight edge to China at this point in time as to the stone positioning and the setup of the end.
It's just one killer shot away though from going either way. You know, you just need to play one absolute peach of a shot or make one mistake and the momentum can switch around. They're really working the brooms hard here, leaning over it, trying to get it to curl.
Look
that
at
last
curl, bit right at the end.
Look at that. That was good sweeping there.
I curled half a stone in the last 6 inches. So they're looking to actually just move their guard, not even try and run it back. Just open up the centre.
Maybe even if they really play this right, get a split.
Yeah,
get
I think
one
that's
to each corner.
You're right. I think that's actually when she tapped the brush. That's what she was looking at, and they've given ice for sort of a back ring weight. So it's not a heavy weight. They just want to catch the very edge of that red stone, push it into the rings underneath their guard on the left, and then their shooter roll to the right and just catch the rings on the right hand side. And that'll leave them 2 scoring shots, which is really what they need at this stage. I think this is going to over curl. It's close. It's got a little bit too much of it, have they? Oh, have they worked it in? Oh, a wee spin at the end there.
Now for Team Switzerland, that's a big concern. That's a great shot there from Team China. And
see a little dip of the head there from Xenia. I mean, that is right behind the guard on the corner.
Yeah, I love the body language. Yeah, and you know, straight away she's saying we need to get rid of that now. But that's not an easy. This is a long travel for the shooter, so you've got to try and catch it just at the absolutely perfect angle.
Yeah,
roll all the way over and try and remove. But that's a big, big ask here for third player Selena Gaffner.
They're straight on it. It's not.
You have to be on the inside of the stone wherever you are, and they are.
And they've rolled it to the top of the house. It's better for them.
Are they sitting second shot? I
don't think they
maybe
are.
Just the red by a whisker.
So, by a whisker.
But eyes and camera angles can be deceiving sometimes. I wouldn't want to call that one. So, are Team China in control here? Well, the outcome of this shot will be very important. Trying to keep it straight and to not get too close to their own red. and that's a very, very good shot.
Yeah.
Very well played.
Nice separation between the stones.
Jenny Schwaller studying right over the top, going, is it not? I think in that scenario, you've got to assume that it is. You don't want that nasty surprise when the measure comes out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that went against Cammy Bryce in the semi-final against Carson, Team Carson, and they had a measure for a 2 or a 3. So it was 2 stones, and I think Cammy was hoping it would be just a 2, but unfortunately it was a 3.
Even the umpire had to get them to just stand back a touch so he could do his work. I mean, you got a load of young curlers determined for it to be them, willing for it to be them. They thought about a draw, but very quickly decided remove one of those Chinese red stones and try and roll behind it. And if they lose a 2, it's not a disaster. Losing a 3 definitely is. With an 8 end game, there's just not the time to recover from losing big ends. We've seen it throughout the week. If you lose any more than a 2, you are on fight back mode all the way.
Unless it's in the first end or maybe the second end, you've got a few ends where you can try and fight back. But especially if it's later in the game, you're really on a hiding at nothing. That's close. The sweepers are on it. They're off it. They're on it. It's always a good sign. Trying to get it to curl a wee bit more though.
It's just hung out there a fraction.
Well, we're not going to get the excitement of a measure anymore.
No. No. Unlikely anyway. So still 2 stones left for Team China.
They're looking to just ignore those yellows. They're sitting shot. They're trusting in their draw and their draw weight.
Which has been strong so far.
Yeah. And they're just going to pop one right around the other side of the 4-foot. Underneath that yellow and try and tuck it away and make it as difficult to remove as possible. And I think they'll be looking at their 2 now because they're not even looking at guarding up their shot stone or anything like that. And they'll be hoping for a 2 at this stage.
Would get them into the lead with 4 ends played, 4 to go. With our men's final starting imminently on the neighbouring sheet. So, very important draw here for Roy Wong.
Yeah, sweepers
This looks a little bit light.
Yeah, are on it hard.
It's very light. Yeah, nearly 16 seconds. Yeah. Hog to hog, that's going to be short. And that's a mistake. That's a big mistake there from Team China. And Swiss team breathe a huge sigh of relief because now interestingly, a signal there from Fabian Reeder to get the Yellowstone to roll to the right as we look at it, rather than roll behind cover. You maybe don't want to give Team China anything to draw 2.
So I think if they roll to the right, then what it does is if they move into the red, then it means that China need to roll back to the white to score. They can't nose it.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to do, is just make it as difficult for China to score as possible. China will probably draw anyway, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have thought too. Yeah.
Especially if this rolls to the right, they're going to try and force a draw to the 8-foot. And you would like to think, after having just played a draw and knowing the adjustments she's got to make, that she would be able to adjust and make that draw.
Once again, Jenny Schwaller has played exactly what was called. Curling it certainly very close to 100% so far.
Yeah.
The Swiss skip.
Absolutely. Didn't quite get the roll to the red that they were hoping, just out of the white, out of the 8-foot circle there. But China are preferring the hit, so they put the brush down.
Okay.
And they are going to make the hit. They get to nose.
I suppose if you just left the draw 8 to 9 feet short, you might well be thinking, let's not take any chances here.
Quieter weight though. You can see the ice they've taken. This is just a hack barrier weight. Not going to be a very heavy weight. Something that they can control. That the sweepers can help to influence.
Yeah, very controlled weight here for Ray
No,
Wong.
it is the drop. My apologies. I thought
And
the
the
way the
weight-
brush got put down, they were looking at a hit on that yellow, but no, they did play the draw.
Weight much more like at that time. 14.4 seconds hog to hog.
Right.
It's a sign of a
on
skip, isn't it?
the bottom.
Not just where they needed to be. Absolutely perfect. So a force of one then for Team Schwaller, which brings Team China 2 shots all in this thrilling ladies semi-final here in the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. After 4 ends, Team China had the last stone advantage going into the game, and now effectively going into a 4-end shootout with Team Schwaller now, the Swiss team, with that last stone advantage. We'll stick with the ladies' final for one more end, as the men's final they are still in the middle of their draw shot challenge, and then we'll switch over to the men's final. But we'll keep you up to date with how the ladies' final is going. Kind of don't want to step away from this game; it's been so exciting. But we'll keep a watchful eye and keep you posted here on PerthMasters.com and indeed on the Perth Masters YouTube page. Team China, Team Schwaller, who's going to come out on top? It's just impossible to call at this stage. Both teams playing very well. Very few mistakes so far. And if you were to say anything, it's been the Swiss skip, Jenny Schwaller, who just hasn't blinked yet. Not really any mistakes at all so far in this game. But now we're into the business end of the game, and a very long guard there from the Chinese team. Jenny Schwaller asking for a draw to the top of the 8-foot.
Yeah, and it's markedly different in the tactics there. You know, looking to draw round the centre. She's got hammer. She's not looking for corner guards. I think they're seeing the best opportunities for multiple scores coming from the swing that they're getting round this centre.
A little bit heavy here, I think.
Yeah, it's a wee bit heavier than they thought.
13.7 seconds on the split. It's going to end up behind the tee. That's not where you want it to be. So Xenia Schwaller trying to get it well out of the way. Yeah, that was a... if a face could tell a story there, that was not where I wanted it. Thank you very much.
Do you know, and I don't know if it was anything to do with it, but I tend to find that it gets into your head if one of your sweepers goes off to the bathroom or has a break or isn't with you, and you've only got one sweeper instead of 2, you tend to throw it that little bit harder because you know you've only got one sweeper. And that can happen. It can just get into your head just to do that. Don't know if that's what it was, but either way, it was just a little bit deeper than they meant.
So a controlled sort of back ring weight here, beautifully played from the Chinese lead, Jia Yang.
Excellent pronunciation there.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Been well trained. I didn't have any Swiss contacts to rely upon.
No.
So hopefully we're not butchering
If
those
we
names.
are, if we are doing anything wrong, please do let us know.
apologise. Yes, get in touch with us.
If we're pronouncing Xenia's name wrong or Xenia, then please do let us know. If there are any Swiss fans out there,
Seen quite a few. Team Stalker, they had where Xenia's brother Kim was playing for them. There was Team Stalker. They had a few fans writing in to us.
yeah, the
over
Stalker
the course.
Army.
The Stalker Army. That's right. Yeah.
I wonder if they've now switched allegiance over to Schwaller for the final. I would hope so.
You would think so. Yes, you would think so. Yeah, I actually went into a local Japanese restaurant yesterday for lunch, and Team Schwaller were there, looking slightly not Team Schwaller, Team Stalker were looking there slightly despondent because they'd just been knocked out. But what a way to! I mean, how can you be unhappy with a bowl of ramen?
On a cold Perth night.
Exactly.
Cheer you up, some comfort
Yeah, cold
food.
Perth night at 3 o'clock.
Oh, was it 3 o'clock?
Yeah, but it was still nearly dark though.
Yeah.
This time of year. But we're on our way to summer. So back to kind of sparring again here with that play coming into the rings early on. But there is still that Chinese centre guard there right up. But how active it is or not is depending how heavy a weight you want to play. It might be in play at a stronger strike weight, but at a more controlled weight it probably isn't.
And what can make a difference as well is that these stones, these are the stones that we use here at Perth. They're quite old. They're coming towards the end of their life, and what that means is if you see the actual impact band on the stone is quite wide now. Over the years, as the stones continue to hit each other, then that band gets wider and wider, and that just makes the stones a little less lively sometimes than maybe some of the other stones that they've been used to, or stones at the Worlds or Europeans, etc., where they might react just a little bit more to the quieter weights. And the teams will just need to get used to that and understand that, and I'm sure they have after playing here all for the last 3 days. But it is one of the differences between playing competitions at different rinks that you do have to be conscious of, is just how stones will react at different weights, and how lively they are, how quickly they'll bounce off of other stones.
It's something that they'll be very well used to, particularly those playing in Europe, going to various countries, different ice rinks that have, different ages of stones, etc. Something, those who can adapt definitely are going to come across on top. So now going very much in conservative play, the Chinese team playing a centre guard, Swiss saying, please remove.
Don't like that there?
No.
Please take it away.
Of course, the Swiss team with last stone, but they're wanting to. I mean, a blank here would be perfect, because then they have last stone for that vital sixth end. And you look at the statistics, winning that sixth end is really, really important, or having a good score of that sixth end is very, very important. So it's you can see the tactic here from Xenia Schwaller to say, let's just keep it tidy here. A blank is absolutely what we'd like to see.
And
Now, a slight bit of confusion here for a Chinese team. The men's final has begun on sheet D, on the neighbouring sheet.
Are they using one of their stones?
Yes, I think that one of the stones
has gone missing, maybe?
One of the stones now this is bizarre, one of the stones from sheet E, which is where the ladies' final is being played, appears to have been put into play on sheet D of the men's final, and one of the umpires, Dave Embley's been brought in, and this is a bit of a chin scratcher here. It's one of the Chinese red stones, and using the scientific method of a pizza wedge shaped
foot either side,
and then replaced. Well, that's something I've never seen before, certainly at this level anyway.
New one on me as well. So they've got the stones back where they should be.
Great spot from the Chinese team.
Yeah, Team Muirhead pinched a stone off the wrong sheet. Maybe that was their lucky stone.
Well, could be.
We'll see if it goes missing again at the next
red is a lucky colour. Well, what was turning out to be a fairly quiet end has injected some interest, some interest and intrigue into
controversy.
Yes, yes.
So, not a guard this time. I think what Team China are looking to do is bring this stone right to the back, and hopefully right on top of that red that's just hanging on. You can see at the bottom of your screens there, it's just hanging on, and they're trying to get a red bumped right up against it and use that red as a stopper stone. And
but it just removed though. They were that was close.
They did not want that to be removed. They kind of wanted that to stay there as a backing guard, but they bumped it just enough. It must have been just hanging on to that back line, and they bumped it just over the back line, and that was, you have to say, that was a mistake. That was their only chance, really, of trying to
Make the blank. Or force the one. Yeah.
Sorry, force the one.
Well, I just noticed there that was one of your fellow club members who played the wrong stone there.
Was it? Was it Mr. Stark? Was it?
Curling club member. Stuart
Well, you know, you can't you can't always control who gets into the club these days.
Steady now. I think he was in before you.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Many years before me. No, that was, Stuart Stark, member of Auchterarder Curling Club for many years. Excellent player. Played with Team Muirhead and plays with them in the Super League. Won the Scottish Open with Team Muirhead recently at Forfar as well. That team playing really, really well.
I played in the Scottish Championship qualifiers once with Stuart. We didn't qualify.
Oh well.
Oh well.
At least you played.
Never mind. It was a good experience. In fact, it was with the late great Graham Shaw, actually.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. So, all kind of under control here in this fifth end for Team Schwaller. They're going to be very happy, I would think, with a blank end. Take the last stone into the vital sixth end out of 8, and effectively with three end game all level with the last stone is a very good position to be in, but needs to be cleaned up and dealt with. And Xenia Schwaller, who's curled it near enough 100% all game long, has got this fairly routine shot, but sometimes on these routine shots you've got to just remember to concentrate. It's easy to just let your focus blip a little bit, especially when you've been playing multiple games a day for 3 or 4 days now.
Underthrow it, you're just too casual out the hack, you're not focused enough. Like you say, you're playing the same shot over and over, but you've got to keep that focus. Speak to your sweepers about the ice conditions. Has anything changed? Have you been down this path before? Any little adjustments that you might have to make.
A message coming in from Jonathan Ballock. Thank you very much for your kind words. He's asking, what is the typical lifespan of a set of curling stones? Very interesting. I don't actually know how long.
Well,
the typical lifespan. That's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's not a set lifespan for stones. It depends how often they're used. But that's why I think he's asking in a place like Perth, which is obviously you play. You know, there's 5 nights a week that there's a full rink on the go. But if it's a very busy rink and you've got a lot of play, I mean, stones will last 30 years. Easily. I mean, they are made of as we know from the Ailsa Craig granite is the hardest granite, densest granite in the world, and that's why curling stones are made from there. They last longest. They can take the most hits without breaking. But you do get fractures in stones. You do get them if there are a lot of collisions. Place like Perth, you get a lot of very heavy hitting players as well because they're. You've got the Super League, and you've got a lot of teams in the Super League that do throw really heavy weights. That can make a difference as well.
And a very enthusiastic junior section who love playing takeouts as well.
Yes, a very enthusiastic junior section. They've got over, I think, 60 junior members at the moment in Perth. Fantastic. So they've got virtually a full ice rink on a Tuesday afternoon. So they do incredibly well with the juniors here. All the coaches and Ali Milne and Simon and Bill Crawford and all the other coaches that are working down here every Tuesday with those juniors. But the other thing that goes on curling stones is running bands on the bottom. And you can increase the life of the stone by turning it over, so the handle side can also be the bottom side, and you can actually turn the stones. It has a running band on both sides of the stone. And that running band is the part of the stone that touches the ice, and that does wear over time. You can sharpen it up, what they call papering, so they can paper them and sharpen that edge up a little bit, but that does wear over time as well. But you will get 30, 40 years out of curling stone. It's not something that needs to be replaced that often, fortunately, because they're not cheap.
No, they are not. No, they are not. So the sixth end of play gets underway then in the women's final for the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. It's finally poised at 2 shots apiece then, with Team Schwaller with the last stone. We'll switch across now to the men's final between the double Scottish Junior champions Oran Carson and Team Muirhead, who both... Well, Team Muirhead come into this final with a perfect record, 6 wins in total this week, and the Carson team with just 1 loss, so very, very close indeed, getting all the way to this final, and I'm sure it's going to be a thrilling encounter. Team Muirhead playing red stones and Team Carson playing yellow stones. Team Muirhead, Thomas Muirhead playing third stones here, trying to hit the Carson stone and roll into the centre. Doesn't quite get the roll. It's Team Carson with the last stone advantage. They won the draw shot challenge. And what an opportunity of this young team. We were talking about it on the game on Friday night, about how they really are the real deal, and well, potential stars of the future playing internationally. They'll go to the World Junior Championships in April, but they've got to try and get through a highly experienced outfit. Glenn Muirhead, double Scottish Junior champion, former Scottish men's champion, and twice a winner of this tournament. Not as a skip. He played for Tom Brewster in 2017 and Logan Gray in 2014. This would be, if Glenn Muirhead could win this game, it would be his first time winning this competition as a skip, running his own rink.
And he would greatly love to do that, emulate his dad as well. His dad's a past winner.
Yep. His sister Eve, a double winner as well, and if he were to win, that would be one stat he'd be ahead of Eve on. If he could get 3 wins to her 2, that would be, I'm sure that would give a little bit of bragging rights around the Muirhead dinner table. They're a competitive family. And you watch, I love the way that both Glenn and Thomas deliver the stone. It's really old school, and I remember once, years and years ago, speaking to their father Gordon, saying, "Where did they learn that from?" And he says, "Well, they didn't learn it from me, but they used to sit and watch Randy Ferbey videotapes, and that was the die was cast from there."
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got their heroes they try to emulate, and sliding styles that they try to do. You see a lot on the brush on the ground these days as well, flat to the ground. That's a new style that's kind of just crept in over the last few years, and Glenn and Thomas both curl that way.
That was not what was desired there for Glenn Muirhead. Actually ended up picking his own stone out there, and now in a bit of a world of pain in this opening, and 2 yellow stones for Team Carson, sitting there, Carson with the last stone, and Logan Carson almost in an embarrassment of riches here. I can't tell how many stones. Yeah, so Team Carson have 2 stones remaining, with Team Muirhead with 1 stone left, and a huge opportunity here to land a killer blow in the opening end.
And I think what they're looking at here is where can they place their stone so that they don't actually leave a triple or something, or an easy double. And it's not easy. They were looking there, you saw the kind of the brush movements. They were worried about going what they call round the houses, or that kind of U shape. If they come off a stone and they stick one, say, on the top of the forefoot, it would then bounce up and then it would go up underneath that guard on the right hand side there. there's stone placement here is going to be quite key as to whether or not Glenn's got a chance to cut this down to a maximum of a 2, or what sort of shot he might have here. You would think he's always going to be left some kind of double.
Well, possibly, but it depends where this sits.
It's running quite straight.
It's running very, and a little bit on the heavy side, possibly. Is it? Is it going to wick off their own stone? Well, that's a mistake. That's a huge error there from Team Carson, because that gives Team Muirhead an opportunity to remove 2 yellow stones and cut the damage down to just 2, when they could have been staring 3 or 4 in the face there.
Yeah. I think I would have liked to have seen a stone sort of back right quadrant as you're looking at that overhead there.
Yeah.
I think that would have been probably the most difficult place for a double.
That's a big let off. Big let off for Team Muirhead now. And this, I remember playing a little bit of school curling with Glenn, and he often performs at his best when he's put into a corner. This is kind of how a lot of the games would go. Often he'd be put into that corner by his front end, which included me, but that was when he really performed at his best. Big sweeping here from second player Thomas Halder. Is it going to go through the middle?
Oh no!
Oh dear.
He will not like that.
That was the last thing.
And it's a draw for a 4.
A draw for a 4. So for Skip or in Carson, well, this is just a golden opportunity here, and this has to just take a deep breath. Got the whole house to come to here, and Dewar Centre has just gone into utter silence and shock after
Disbelief.
that one.
After the sorts of shots that Glenn was making against Team China in the semi-final, to get through here to the final, those were bread and butter. That kind of shot was exactly what you would bank that he would make. So just a mistake in the first end there, and no mistake from Oren Carson.
No, comes in at good weight as well, just right on the tee line, and 4 shots to Team Carson over Team Muirhead. A shock scenario here in the opening end of the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters final. The whole rink in absolute disbelief there, and Team Carson the opportunity was there. They gave the gift back, and it was not taken. Let's take a quick switch to the ladies' final now, because it's at a key moment in the 6th end. The Swiss team Schwaller sit 2 shots counting at the moment, with 5 stones remaining. They do have last stone in this critical 6th end, so an opportunity here for Schwaller to get a good score, but where the placement of this stone will be absolutely critical.
Yeah, they've got to get it tucked around these guards. There's a lot of guards there, which is great, but they've got to get it tucked around. They don't want to leave a double.
So as we switch from game to game, we've got 2 high-quality games of curling. We're going to swap from one high-quality commentator to another, from James Davison. James, thank you very much for your company over the last hour and a half or so, and our superstar Alan Hanna is going to jump in and join us for the final. And given his background with a few of the teams on the ice, particularly Team Carson, I would imagine he'll be pretty pleased with how things have started off so far. But
thanks very much, Peter. And I will pass over to Alan and get some expertise from him. So
go and enjoy another plate of lasagna. So a little bit on the high side there for Team Schwaller, just sitting out of cover a little bit, but give a warm welcome to Alan Hanna. And Alan, in that men's final, I can't say I was expecting that.
No, definitely not. Just one of those couple of little half shots there from the Muirhead team, and they had an opportunity there just to cut the scoring down with a double, and unfortunately Glenn just was a little high with that one, and no mistake from Oren Carson, and cashed in and drew for 4. So the boys will think Christmas has come around already again. So great start for the young boys, and but a 4-shot lead is it's a long time to hold a 4-shot lead, but they're they're in pole position at the moment.
The one thing about Glenn and Thomas Muirhead, they are fighters. There's the amount of times of you see them go down early in a game and they just don't. They never say die. So that game is far from over. Mark my words. But for Team Carson, I mean, we talked about it on Friday night how they are the real deal, aren't they? They really are playing very well, very, very well. But in this ladies' final, 2 apiece, 6 ends. We're in the middle of the 6th end at the moment, and the Swiss team a couple of good shots away from being in a really strong spot.
Yeah, again, these are two, high. We're really fortunate to have these 2 ladies teams with us at the Perth Masters, and Team Schwaller flying high in that kind of top 10 in the world now, and the Chinese ladies, now that they're back on the road, they took some time out just sort of through COVID. A lot of the men's and ladies teams didn't travel, so they weren't banking as many points as what some of the other teams are. So they've had to hit a little bit of a reset button in terms of just climbing up those world rankings, and both them and the men's teams are chipping away at that, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes round to World Championships and possibly even Olympic if they qualify for the Olympics.
Yeah, that was a huge challenge for many Chinese athletes, or Chinese-based athletes, in the COVID time. That's a very good point. So we'll stay with it. Stay with this ladies' final to the end of this critical 6th end, because a big score here from Team Schwaller could put them in control. A big decision to make here. At the moment, looking good. Lots of yellow granite there in good position. And so far, Xenia Schwaller has been curling really fantastic. No, hasn't missed a shot yet. Under pressure in the final. Really impressive stuff.
Yeah, they had a tight game in the round robin in section against the Lithuanian ladies, but other than that, they've been pretty dominant in most, if not all, of the other games that they've played. So. 6th end can sometimes be that moving end, Peter. We talk about that in golf in terms of moving day, and we talk a little bit about moving end in curling, and the 6th end is is where you want to really get control of managing the scoreboard and ensuring that you're in the best position either up in the game or have hammered down those last certainly the 8th end if you can navigate it that way.
Ice conditions look to be really nice and really playable this afternoon for this final. Good speed, good curl in both hands. It's been really top work from Paul Martin and his team. I mean, they must be absolutely exhausted because it's first thing in the morning to last thing at night every day for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, long days, and I think they take pride in what they do, and they don't mind the early mornings. It comes with a patch of being a competition or a championship type ice maker, and not just Perth Masters, but Paul has been preparing ice for many championships that we've had here, for World Juniors, for some European championships and things that we've had in the venue in the past. So he's well versed to what's required to produce just world-class curling conditions, and that's absolutely what we've got here in the past few days, and it's continued into the final stages today.
So Team China sitting against 4 shots here as we head into the business end of this critical 6th end, with Skip Rui Wong coming down here at a draw weight. And they might just clip the guard. Just clip the front guard a little bit. So Xenia Schwaller with 2 stones here to play. And if they can play this just right, if they play their card right here, they could take a real grasp of this 2025 Mercure Perth Masters Ladies Final.
Yeah, I think they've looked at both sides here, and for the Chinese ladies, they've probably got nothing too much on the counterclockwise outturn to us older generation side of the sheet. So it looks like she's going to try and do something down this intern side on the right hand side of the sheet as we look at it, and try and just take away any potential draw in there that could prove challenging or difficult to get out of there. So let's see how Xenia goes about this.
So decision made, brush put down, and so far it's been a near 100% game for Xenia, leader of the 2024 World Junior Champions, and with a really, really strong record at the moment. To come away from this 2025 Mercure Perth Masters, give them a real boost for the remainder of the season. But there is a lot of curling to play, and this is a critical shot coming up. So both the sweepers on it pretty early here. Perhaps a little bit concerned about the weight. Yeah, 15.5 seconds from hog line to hog line. Is it there? Well, guards it pretty well. Plan B?
Yeah, I mean, anything short, kind of down that line covering the edge of the forefoot was probably pretty good. If anything, she probably, she probably wanted to be top of the rings, or even just past the top red one and just hidden under there slightly would have been absolutely perfect. So it does give China the chance just to try and wrap one round here. They've got to be a pretty good line to probably ever get second shot. I think it's a struggle to get shot from there, but there is a lot of curl on the ice.
Does give an opportunity to cut down to one at least.
Yeah. But again, got to be pretty precise. Just drawn to a sixpence really. So definitely have enough line out there. It's just whether it curls in this wider line.
Certainly got the weight anyway. 13.6 seconds hog to hog. This stayed high, didn't it? Very high.
Yeah. Just on that wider line there, and just tracks a little bit straighter. Probably just not as much curl there. So I think Team Schwaller will see all of this. So a big opportunity to probably put a big nail in the coffin in this game.
This could be it. Yeah, this could be it. I mean, at the moment, 3 stones counting for Team Schwaller, none left for Team China. So, provided they can remove this yellow stone, it will be at least 4. This red stone, excuse me, it will be at least 4, if not 5, and you've got to think that will be game over. Xenia Schwaller's played absolutely superbly all game long. Have not really given China a look in. China have been right there. It's been a close game. If Xenia Schwaller were to pull this shot off, it wouldn't necessarily represent the rhythm of the game. You look at the scoreline, you think that's dominant. It has not been that way at all. But let's see, Xenia Schwaller, an opportunity to be a Mercure Perth Masters champion for the first time. Is this the last stone of this tournament? Sweepers on and off early on, a very good sign indeed. Back and forth. The applause already starting to ripple in the gallery, and that will be 5 shots to the Swiss team. Do not see a handshake being offered yet. Right, okay. So no handshake offered yet. I thought that would have been the last stone, but of course it does require the opposition to offer up a handshake, but with 2 ends left to play. 5 shots behind the Chinese team. They're wanting to fight for this. We'll switch back to the men's final then, with a shock score of 4 for Team Carson in the opening end, with a couple of big errors from Glenn Muirhead in that opening end. And at the moment, Team Muirhead facing quite a few Carson stones here in the house. Thomas Muirhead playing his second stone of the end. That's well played. So big discussion here. Just having a little technical issue with our mic packs at the moment. We've got our tech team on it at the moment, and they're just like magic. Well, I think the decision has been made.
12-5.
I mean, this is.
Quarterstone.
I don't think Team Carson could really have asked for a better start. This is
13.
what with their wildest dreams.
Amazing start.
Hair
It's
mark.
just about just staying focused and
Keep going.
you know, just trying to pick these ends off and you know still stay really focused, trying to force the one here and get this hammer back would be a big result from here. So we heard the boys talking about a spot time of 12.5. That's a hog-to-hog time. So probably something like a back ring, a light hack rake, and they're looking to just come around here, just try and tap this Muirhead counter back.
Whoa!
Needs to curl a lot here. It has not. It's come through maybe a little bit heavy, and surprisingly, Oran Carson not pleased whatsoever with that.
We're not probably going to get it.
And
We're only going to
well, if Glenn Muirhead can come in here, bring two reds in under a bit of cover, you never know, and all of a sudden it's 4-2 and it's back to game on again in this men's final. And I've said it a couple of times already in this early stages, Glenn Muirhead often performs at his best when put into a corner. He's a proper fighter.
If we just bump freeze, I'm not going to. I can't
The real
overthrow it.
consolation for Team Carson was there. He just flicked the yellow
To be
into
honest, it's just a draw.
probably a
It's
slightly
just
better
a bump
position.
freeze.
It's probably just a little safer now than where it was previously. It still lies second shot, but buried in there too. So, and I also think that if Glenn it just comes down as an absolute draw weight to the face of the red one that sits on the Perth curling logo. If it just comes to the face of that, it probably will only be third shot at that point because it'll not be outcounted by the back one.
You don't think so? So if I just throw back.
So first stone of the second end then for Glenn Muirhead. This rink have had a completely undefeated record, the only team in the competition to have that totally undefeated record.
Click, whoa, clean. Whoa.
But up against it early in this
Needs to curl.
final.
Hard.
Glenn's been
Really-
here on a couple of
really
occasions
hard.
before.
Really
Winner on
hard.
2 occasions, once with Logan Gray, once with Tom
Thomas,
Brewster.
help for weight.
So
On the back one.
hog time of just over 14 seconds there.
The line's perfect here, so
Very hard. That's a good effort. That's a very good effort there.
still lies third shot, but it's safer in there now. So, yeah, Team Carson just got to be a bit smart here. I mean, giving up 2 here, and if they were to look at the start of the game and think, yeah, I'm playing the third end with the hammer and I'm 2 up against Team Muirhead in the final, they would have taken that every time. So
Even had an arm left.
absolutely, yeah. So they just don't want to be too smart here and just ensure that nothing more than 2 is given away here.
Let's listen in and see what they're discussing.
10 then.
Just disappeared, but I think they're going to just going to remove this back one, get that out of there, and it's quite a nice angle to probably go and roll over towards those towards the 2 yellow ones. I don't think that's totally essential as long as he just gets rid of this one. I don't see Team Muirhead making more than 2 from this
Squared it.
position.
Whoa!
Squared it.
2 would certainly get them back in the
Yep.
ball game.
Yes!
4 down is no use in an
Whoa!
end game.
Yeah! Whoa!
Pretty good effort there.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done there is just absolutely reduced the the scoring area for Glenn. He's just to make that draw for 2 now, he's just got to be that little bit more precise now.
Ach, it will do, because you would be slightly on the high side.
He's got to be the master of precision, doesn't he? That was a pretty gutsy call there as well from Team Carson. Real confidence in their ability. Now, interesting.
That's quite a hard.
This is
an
interesting call.
Ice to get
Discussing
past that line. What line did you give me there?
coming down.
Is that the ice you gave me?
That side, let's listen in. So not going to go for the dead draw onto the pot lid, looking to use their own red, or reds, to
Might
bump
take a fraction less
the
ice.
Carson Yellows back, but they look pretty locked in to me.
Yeah, or possibly
Less.
even just over curl around the guard and tap the red up. Might be the option. The guard is so long, it's almost not in play, and there's enough curl in the ice conditions here for them to just play that kind of back 4 weight, bump the red that sits at the top of the 4 foot
Couple more
circle
feet.
into a second point scoring position. Just wondering if Glenn was just a little bit concerned about the in-turn
Easy.
draw. The high
Easy.
guard is pretty close to being
Easy.
in the line of that.
Easy. Easy.
14 seconds, hog to hog on the nose.
Past the guard quite comfortably. And no mistake.
Wow, what a shot. Well, pushed into a corner, Glenn Muirhead performing. Two shots then to Team Muirhead and back at least in the conversation now. 4-2 after 2 ends, loss of hammer, but they are... that is a great response to that opening end, which was nothing short of disastrous, and that is how you respond. Fantastic stuff there in this men's final after 2 ends of play. The ladies' final, you've got to think, is more of a matter of time now. 7 shots to 2 for Team Schwaller, and they sit pretty strongly at the moment in the latter part of their 7th end, so we could well be heading to a result there. Team Schwaller more just got to run Team China out of stones, really, quite simply, and they've been clinical so far as they head into the latter part of the 7th end. It's been a long week for all of our teams, but Team Schwaller appear to have brought out their A game for this final, and they sit with the house full of yellow granite and making it near impossible for Team China to get a big end here and progress to the final end.
Going to be on Carol. Carol hard.
Yeah, no guards out front in this end, so Team Schwaller have obviously done their job in clearing those, and Team China got no other option other than to draw around the yellow counters and hope for a little mistake. But coming up a little light there. Maybe it's just getting sometimes it can get a little bit slower down these latter ends, and it's just important that the players just keep sharing communication on split times and different things like that, so that they're kind of on top of that. But that one seemed to be a little mistake.
No mic packs on the lady players, so we'll have to use our imagination and, in your case, Alan, good judgment and experience to think about what they're discussing here. Because this is, you don't want to slip on a banana skin here if you're Team Schwaller. You've got this nearly done. It's nearly over the line, but not yet. And it's, you want to see that handshake being extended. Then you know it's done. Until then, there's still the possibility of it going wrong. They're nearly there, this young Swiss squad. Look at Switzerland have always been a presence, but their future looks bright as a nation for the teams that they've got in play?
Yeah, I was in Finland when the girls won the World Juniors in February last year, and they were just the dominant team all week. The whole package of just a bit of experience, a bit of swagger about them. They knew what they were about, and they after having a few attempts at trying to win that World Junior title, they got the job done in Finland and thoroughly deserved the gold medal that week.
And are they in line to represent Switzerland in the upcoming Worlds?
Not at junior level, no. So they decided to age out and take the year out.
But for in the women's competition, they don't know.
Women's, it's probably going to be Tirinzoni that will go to
Okay.
represent Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah.
What an embarrassment of riches for them.
They have on the ladies' side. They're really a lot of strong teams there. So
heading into the last stones of this seventh end of the Mercure Masters 2025. Team China needing you got to think at least a 2 in this end to keep things going. Of course, it is totally up to them. If they want to keep going, they can. It must be a concession for the game to be completed.
Only top 12.
So important stone here then for Skip Ray Wong. Try and make something happen. Only perfection will do now at this stage to try and somehow overcome what had been a fantastic Swiss rink.
probably want this a little bit deeper because this yellow, red, red is pretty well lined up, and yeah, still pretty lined up. So I don't know whether Team Schwaller have even looked at that really. So
Xenia Schwaller's just played so well that I think she fancies the draw. She's like, I've got this in my pocket, no issue whatsoever. That was a pretty quick decision. But interestingly though, Fabienne Rader saying, well, what about that? No, the draw. I told you it was the draw.
she knows with just a slight correction here on the weight down here that freezing on the back one, it's always going to mean that there's a score of no more than 2 for China.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it? No more than 2. And I mean, if you go into the last, even without handshake, you go into the last end, last stone, 3-shot advantage doesn't get a great deal more comfortable than that. But is this past the guard? Is it going to get by? It's very, very close. Oh, it's just rubbed on the guard. And now, does that give
Chance for 3 here.
chance for 3? Yes.
So, it's a
Wow,
pretty
wow,
technical one, but they do have a wee chance here just to get this top yellow a little bit thin and probably even roll towards the side yellow counter and use that as a stopper. So,
Well, a chance for 3 if Team China were to score 3 here. You're definitely going to the last end, albeit 2 down without hammer. But your opposition are absolutely rattled. You have to think at that stage. But
I just thought with those 4 stones lined up there was value in Team Schwaller just absolutely having a rap at that one and line shot and then saying it's over to you. So
clear the board a bit.
maybe a little missed opportunity there.
Yep, you would think so. So quite a lot of discussion here for Chinese team now. It's a big shot. It's a big ask, but it's really the shot to keep them in the tournament, to keep the last thread of hope for what it's been a great run. I mean, it's such a shame that in this ladies' final one of the teams has to lose because they both had a perfect record to get to this point. Yep. But that's how it goes.
So we'll probably come down here with a bit of controlled weight, just trying to. It's probably not so much about making connection with the yellow, the top yellow. It's more about just trying to get the right angle, because they need to use this side yellow as a bit of a stopper.
Here it comes then. Last stone for Ray Wong. Will it be the last stone of the tournament, or will it go down to a last end showdown?
Oh, didn't even need the stopper.
Oh,
but
well, it
maybe.
is a 2 though.
Yeah.
It's a good effort. It's a 2 for Team China. And there's no handshake offered. So 3 up going into the last end with the last stone for Team Schwaller in the ladies' final. Let's switch back to the men's final then, with Team Muirhead managing to get 2 shots back after losing a 4 in the opening end. 4-2 right now in the middle of the third end in the men's final. Team Carson looking to really solidify their position with the last stone. And they have it looks like they have, yes they do, they have their own yellow lying shot at the moment, however in a slightly vulnerable position.
Yeah, Team Muirhead have got a pretty good one locked onto it, so any connection with that, the yellow Carson counters probably going to disappear.
Ken, I don't leave this one sitting here.
Just depends when Glenn wants to make a move on this, if he
We
feels
get
it's in
inside,
the guard
but I don't
first,
think that's
and
possible.
or try and freeze it or bump them around or do something. So
Try and get inside
Third player,
it.
Thomas Muirhead, Glenn's younger brother, in the
Push this out to the side.
hack right now, having a chat about it. They've played so much curling together over the
The
years.
other thing is just to go here.
Thomas, a 3-time Scottish junior champion, silver medalist at the European Championships in 2017. Both full-time
Or
farmers.
you just peel it.
I was going to say they curl for fun. I don't think they ever curl for fun. They curl to win wherever they go.
I didn't get that impression in the Super League a couple of months ago, so
No.
there was kind of no mercy really.
No. I don't know how many times they've won the Perth Super League, but it's lots. is the answer. A big curling family, of course, along with
Do
their
this and hang
sister
about
Eve, who
here, and then this
arguably one of
comes
the
to here.
greatest players ever in the women's curling game.
Chances are you're going to run out though, and this is going to stay here. Do you want to just play this?
So, getting the insight to a brotherly conversation here, the dynamics
Or
involved
nose
in
tap
that
at
of
hack.
what call to go for.
Try and kill the back one.
Because Team Muirhead, they cannot afford one trip up now. They've got to be perfect from here on in after losing that 4 at the beginning.
Yeah, I think what they seem to have called here is hack weight, and they're going to try and get to the top yellow here and yellow onto red and try and kill this yellow counter of Team Carson. So probably a hack weight coming from Thomas Muirhead here.
Thomas Muirhead with the old corn broom taped up to avoid pickups.
Close.
That old school style, right up on the toe, brushed down on the ground.
Stuart. Hard. Hard.
I think it's a little high of the line in the moment, but they're on the curl now.
Good.
Yeah, probably just wanted to get that a little squarer. Gives Team Carson a chance just to make the nose hit double in set 3 now. So again, just got to be pretty careful with this one. Anywhere high, and they're probably just jamming that in there, or certainly spilling their yellow. So
See the lead player Stuart Startley on the left-hand side of shot, watching on anxiously.
Whoa, whoa.
kind of controlled weight here from Logan Carson. Not absolutely flying at it, but they're on the outside sweep, which back on the inside. played it
Beautifully
absolutely
played.
perfectly.
Beautifully played. Well, when we switch back to this men's final, Team Muirhead were looking in a good spot. 2 stones later, the game changes.
Think so, no?
So Glenn's
On
still
your
got a
nose
guard
in
out
the
front
two
here,
and
and he's just got to try and find some cover somewhere and just make it a little bit more difficult for Team Carson and just try and get a little half shot somewhere. Looks like they're just going to throw the draw here, or just try and over curl here a little bit on the top one.
Which letter are we going for?
Yeah, probably just directly above the R of Perth, just kind of in between the 2 yellows. So probably just cross it a little so that if Team Carson ever tried to run the top yellow, it was always jamming in there. So
Hard!
Sweeping it hard though. Stuart Stark going
Thomas,
to work with
go.
Ross as hard as he can, and it's just gonna wreck on that guard there. It's a little bit on the tight side for Thomas Muirhead. It was always going to be tricky, but
really tougher once you take ice on that edge of the forefoot. You're just in a zone where it just curls a little bit earlier on you, and that's probably just what happened to Thomas there. It just grabbed the curl and didn't track quite the same as if he'd been taking ice somewhere in that kind of 8-foot white zone.
Just like push that under a little.
So a little dilemma now for Team Carson. It's a case of kind of
Right now, that's his shot.
where do you put it? Where's in the best place that's going to make it difficult for
Don't like doing that.
Team Muirhead to try and lock one in there and a good saver.
yeah, they're almost in a similar spot to the first
Leave it
end.
there,
Going
you just gotta
almost.
know, you could almost, you could
How
lift all
do we
4.
cover everything? Let's listen in.
You come with a stone short, you can nose them and get all 4. Sorry, you're late. Okay. Hit it like quarter stone. It's like just about halfway.
Talking through a lot of options here. They're worried about just dropping it front short, which is definitely right, because Team Muirhead could probably throw the rumble there, and if they got the angles right, could certainly get a few of them moving there. They talked about hitting the guard, but I think their choice is just to come down, just draw, probably just bump the top yellow a little bit, that we see it just kind of 11 o'clock.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Where?
So important
Close.
stone here
Yep.
then.
Whoa.
Last stone for Logan Carson,
Whoa. Yep.
or with his
Yep.
brother Oren, with two stones remaining.
Hard. Hard.
The sweeper's working it very, very hard. Charlie Gibbon, Archie Hislop.
It's not bad. Just going to have to play like a back line, hit and roll under. But I need to
Yeah, it's probably just over curled a little bit. If anything, they probably just wanted it just slightly higher, just so that there was no chance of any inside roll.
And the applause you hear in the background is the conclusion of the ladies' final with a big lead in hand. Team Schwaller were able to run the Chinese rink out of stones, and they are your 2025 Mercure Perth Masters champions. A perfect record all the way through the tournament, and the world ranked number 9 team will leave Perth with the silverware. Big smiles all around for them. They played a really, really strong game of curling, did not give their opposition the slightest look in.
No, they absolutely played up to their world ranking and the how they've been operating in the last 18, 24 months. An absolute class outfit, and we're delighted to have them come and join us here at the Perth Ladies Curling Masters. So quick turnaround for the girls now. I think the taxi's at the door and probably engine running, so they've got flights to catch. So congratulations to them, and hopefully we'll see you again in future events.
Well, they'll be swiftly transported to the airport by our partners, A&B Taxis. They'll get them there on time, I'm sure. What a fantastic performance and deserving champions. So we now focus our total attention to this men's final. Muirhead, Team Muirhead up against it, not out of it, particularly after that 2 in the second end, to get back at least in the conversation, and now a third end which hangs in the balance here, with Glenn Muirhead about to play his first stone of 2 in at this third end. But Team Carson with the hammer here in this third end.
Even if we bump it back, 4's no the worst.
Yeah, a lot of challenges for Glenn here. I mean, if he does make the roll under off the one that sits at the top of the 4 foot, looks pretty tough. There's not a lot of space there to make the roll under. Even if you make it pretty good, it's a pretty simple ish tap on the yellow that's at the top of the house for Team Carson. So this is a really aggressive call now. He's elected just to absolutely freeze the yellow that sits at the top of the 12 foot and just see if he can get a little mistake from them.
Bump it.
So Thomas Muirhead being called on here. Then second player Thomas Halder working it hard. Look at how it's curling at that last moment. Can they get it nice and neat and tidy in there? Tucked in.
Yeah, just over curled a little bit on them, and or under curled, because it could have just almost flicked the yellow and straightened up a little bit, and he got neither, I'm afraid. So yeah, I don't think Team Carson need to be too fancy here. Just make sure the red goes. Even if they lose the yellow, then not a problem.
Of course, with that last stone advantage, they're going to make sure it doesn't get too messy in there.
This is sometimes where you can get the temptation and think, God, I've got a real good chance here to make a real big score, and you try something that's just a little bit too intricate, and you come a little bit unstuck. So first principle, just make sure the red goes.
Yeah, they can afford to play the percentage shots now. They don't have to be aggressive. They can force Team Muirhead to be the ones who have to be aggressive. They've got no other option after that opening end. So just opening the ice up a little bit there, Logan Carson, just before the stone is delivered.
So Orrin come down with a controlled weight here. Sweepers are on it.
Working it very hard, aren't they?
Hard!
There's a big shout there from Logan.
Hard!
And it sneaks on through. Now, and just to get a little slightly fortunate sort of curl back there from that stone at just about 4 o'clock as we look at it to get second shot critically. So what are Team Muirhead thinking?
Back. Nose isn't the worst.
Hack, wait. Nose isn't the worst. Okay. So fairly decisive there from Glenn.
Yeah, nose is okay here because there's probably not enough space for Team Carson to, take the temptation and throw the really thin double on the 2 red ones. So
anywhere under's good, I think.
Which I've no doubt that Orrin would take on if he had the opportunity to do that. So
We're going to have to make him play that. Hit that
even
yellow.
on the nose or just a slight inside roll.
I think that's enough. Firm back.
We hope you're enjoying this men's final here in the 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. Glenn Muirhead.
Easy.
Skip
Close.
playing
Straight!
his first stone.
Straight!
Sorry, skipping the stone, excuse
Whoa!
me, of this
Roll
end.
it!
Look him, is that picked up? That went sideways at the end.
Absolutely took off, yeah.
Pick up, do you think?
I'm not sure, but it absolutely did go sideways. So
That's a...
Yeah, okay, edge of stone.
That's a cunt
So
of a
yeah,
line.
I'd, an unfortunate break there, I think, from Team Muirhead. So it looked like it when he let it go. It was a pretty good line there. So
A apologies if some slightly fruity language came over the microphones there. we sort of running, you live and die by the sword a little bit. We get the insight, but sometimes we get the emotion as well. So,
Indeed.
high intensity game. Apologies for that for any younger listeners watching.
It's a nose hit for 6, I'm pretty sure here, Peter.
This could be game over. Well, remarkably, it's only 3. However, that still puts Team Carson into a fairly commanding position in this final. You'd think if Oran Carson had pulled that off, that would have been game over. I think probably one of the shortest Perth Masters finals in history. Nevertheless, 7 shots to 2 for this young sensation, Team Carson. Multiple Scottish Junior champions, will be representing Scotland at the World Junior Championships in a couple of months' time, and I don't think their future stops at that, Alan Hanna. I think their future seems a lot brighter and a lot more lengthy than that in the sport of curling at the international level.
No, been having some technical coaching with the boys at the NCA in Stirling, and been having some discussion with their team coach Brian Carson, dad of Logan and Orrin, and some of the other coaches in the British curling programme, and I think we're all completely agreed that the boys just need to play some more men's events and just start to learn their craft in that level, because they've been quite dominant in some of the junior events that they've played thus far, and it has to be said, you probably learn more from weekends like this, playing against some top performers from around the world, than no disrespect to some of the fields that you may play in some of the local events where you're winning games easily. So it's a great learning curve for them, and they've grabbed the opportunity of playing in a men's event with both hands.
They've had an amazing run through this competition, with a win, a narrow win over Team Stalker all the way back on Friday evening, then a win against Team Thompson on Saturday morning, and coming all the way through to qualify through their group and win in the quarter-final last night against Team Morozumi, the Japanese team, and then beating Team Bryce. That was a great win in the semi-finals to get through into this final, and I don't think they could have really dreamt of this final going a great deal better than it's going for them right now. They've put Team Muirhead under pressure, and for Team Muirhead, it's just not gone their way. It'd be interesting to hear from the players after the game, but that did look like that last stone there for Glen Muirhead it picked up, or at the very least hit some sort of patch, or because it changed trajectory quite dramatically.
Absolutely, it took a serious jump. I mean, to be probably that far out, just doesn't feel like a Glen Muirhead throw. It had to be some other kind of result or a pickup that's caused that stone to take the line that it did.
Yeah, it's just one of those games, I think, for Team Muirhead, where sometimes it's just not your day, and sometimes it's just one of these games where you come off and go, well, that wasn't fun. that was not what we looked for. But sometimes it can go the other way. I mean, Team Muirhead have had a completely unbeaten record in this competition, the only team to do that.
Yep.
And come final time, it's fallen apart, unfortunately.
And on the other side, it sometimes can be your week, and the little breaks go for you, and you take your luck when it's there. And the boys have maybe had one or two situations like that in some of the games. They had a tough game against Totsic in the second or the third round on the end sheet, and it went to an extra end. And Totsic had in an open draw for the game, and you would expect most of the skips in the field to probably make those regulation shots and actually stole that game. So just little breaks like that can happen for you and go for you in these weeks are important, and it's important that it doesn't happen all the time, and you just need to cash in when they do. So.
And the section that they were in, it could have very, very easily gone on draw shot challenge points. There could have been 3 teams on 3 and 1. It didn't go that way in the end, but it could have been. There was actually a potential of team easily being on 3 and 1 and going out,
yes,
which would have been highly cruel. But it didn't end up that way in the end. The team Muirhead, their run to the final, of course, unbeaten in their group, but beating Team Easily in the quarterfinals, which is a big win because they were really impressive in the opening draw, then beating the Chinese team, Team Chu, and now here in the final. Team Carson got plenty of yellow granite there.
So Team Muirhead decided to go for the double corner arrangement, having the two guards on the same side, and just ignoring these yellow counters of Team Carson's at the top of the 4 foot and the 8 foot rings, and going to try and just come down here and get buried behind this double corner guard.
Good.
I would imagine Orn will ignore this, and no, he's not. He's obviously feels he can see enough of it to move it. Nope. He's going for the call that I thought he should have done, which is peel the guard. So.
You're wearing these 2 hats very well, Alan. I'm very impressed. I don't know how you're doing this. It's very, very impressive. So Archie Hislop then here to provide removal services, and does so exactly as discussed. With a 7-2 lead, they can keep it very, very simple. For Team Muirhead, well, they're down to their last hand. Have they got any aces left? If there's anyone can dig out of this fairly deep hole, it's Team Muirhead.
Carl.
Yeah, Glenn will be a bit disappointed with his own couple of shots at that first end, which were probably quite crucial, and and the boys will just keep working away here and just trying to set up something and give Glenn something just to work with.
And the thing is, Glenn, although he's a full-time farmer, curls, as for recreation effectively, but always to win. But on his day, he is still a world-class player, no question about that.
Amazing, these guys, and obviously they were part of Team GB that went to Pyeongchang Olympics, and during that period they were real operators in the men's game, and just the way life goes with different things, with work commitments and funding and selections and the whole package. It just meant it was kind of time for Thomas and Glenn, unfortunately, probably to take a step back and concentrate on career and farming, etc. And that's the tough choices that a lot of the athletes need to make at certain points in their career, as to at what point do they step away from that competitive elite part. So, but yeah, technically they both slide so true, and you can tell that the technical training that they did for a good number of years when they were in the program and in the high performance program is something that has just stayed with them since then, and even sort of 5, 6, 7 years afterwards, their technique hasn't broken down in any shape or form. It's just very, very true, and they're never far away from making most shots.
I love the way how they still slide in such an old school style, though. That right up on the toe with the corn brim dangling behind. It's really cool, really cool to watch. So, what can Team Muirhead do here? Can they get more than a 2 in this end? They do have last stone, and if they were to do that, all of a sudden going into the not halfway break, but to go into the halfway point of the match, they're then back in the conversation. They're refusing to say die, but they will have to be absolutely perfect. This looks a wee bit. It's going to have got enough to get by the guard here. It looks like it does. Looks a bit on the heavy side, possibly.
Fine.
Yeah, good shot by Thomas Muirhead there. Just chipping that back. It's they're just wanting as many catchers as they can out the back there. Anything that's just going to give them a helping hand at some point.
Are you like inside freeze? Okay.
What have you got, half? Okay, just through, just enough to kill it.
Looks like Logan Carson's going to throw the same here, come down maybe just with a little bit more weight and try and knock this red counter through the rings. Lead Charlie Gibb on the outside sweep, just trying to get this to Carl.
Carl!
Now we'll see if some of these back catchers come into play, Peter.
Okay.
Indeed they do.
Yeah, there's enough Muirhead stones in there to be certainly at least asking the questions and keeping Team Carson under pressure. The thing is, when
Nose.
as
Barrier.
highly impressive and calm under pressure that Team
could be
Carson
fine
have
to
been,
lose
they
this
are
too,
still. You
wouldn't
still
it?
have to remember they're young men. This is a big thing.
Yeah.
Would this be their biggest game to date, or potentially their biggest title to date?
Certainly their biggest payday anyway, that's for sure.
They think they're spending it already.
So yeah, absolutely, yeah. In terms of their journey in the men's game, then by far this is their biggest game that they'll have experienced. They've been to World Juniors a couple of times already and about to represent Scotland for the third time. So there's probably some of those games they'll maybe have thought are pretty big games, the World semi-final that they played in the first year, etc. So, but yeah, biggest payday by far.
Okay.
Yeah, £4,500 for the winning team. I would think it will go straight back into the budget for future.
I think that's what the coaching parent team have absolutely strictly advised that will be the case. So.
Bit less.
Yes. It won't be 4 new PlayStation 5s, I don't. But I mean, what a booster this would be, and what belief it would give these 4 young men to go and take on some of the
Oran
top
Carson, he flies out on Thursday, I think it is, this week, sorry, we're in Monday already, and he flies to Uni Games in Turin, so to represent Team GB at the World Junior Games, and he's partnered with Robin Monroe in the mixed doubles.
Excellent shot there from Oran Carson. That just binds up the end a little bit and reduces the scoring opportunity massively for Team Muirhead.
So yeah, quick turnaround for Oran. He was supposed to be training with us tomorrow in the National Curling Academy in Stirling, but I think we'll maybe give him the day off and have a day to himself at home. So,
How old is he?
19. Oran's 19.
So he could potentially celebrate in style tonight.
He probably could have a small jar if he wanted to. Yeah. So yeah. So Glenn's just got to try and use what he's got here. The one the red counter that sits top of the 12 foot is in a is a friendly one for him directly behind this guard. So he doesn't want to come too deep here, but enough just to lie short. So probably just enough to nibble the top of the 4 foot and out count this one, the yellow Carson counter at the back of the 4 foot. So directly under the yellow and the red that sits at 12 o'clock.
So first stone then of this fourth end for Glen Muirhead. Every stone now up and down the rink is
Top of the button.
critical
Easy.
to have any chance of overturning this
curl
highly
up.
impressive young Carson rink.
It needs to curl, Thomas.
Muirhead on the brooms, as is second player Thomas Halder, both working it hard.
Yeah, just didn't, probably a little higher line there, and just didn't get quite the curl they wanted. The weight was absolutely perfect. They were probably just wanting to be another stone width further over on the right hand side of the centre line as we look at it. Probably no deeper than that, because Carson then probably had the opportunity to probably had a ping off his own wide one that sits at kind of 2 o'clock. So no hesitation here. Oran's just going to come down and pick it clean and say, have your one.
What we do, just drawing for the one.
Not mucking about here, didn't want to throw it too light and see it over curl, just take the medicine, nothing fancy. Very impressive stuff there.
There's nothing there, is there?
Didn't need to make that any more
There
difficult
isn't
than it needed
anything
to
there,
be.
is
So yeah,
have a look and see.
only an opportunity for one here for Team Muirhead, which would put them 4 behind
There
with
isn't
4
anything there,
ends
is
to
there?
go. Glenn coming down for
Is it? What there?
or is the are they thinking about the ultimate circus shot here to hit
If it
the
is
yellow?
there.
Are they basically at where Glenn's brush is?
Draw for one.
Roll
three.
onto that yellow at the centre line, remove that, and
we're
the
never
one that's
making
sort
that,
of
are
locked
we?
on the red. Of all the shots I've
Eh?
seen Glenn play, this would be one of the most impressive if he does
It's
pull this
there,
off.
but we'll just draw for 2.
I think even Glenn has said, no, even for me, that's ridiculous.
Draw for 1, sorry.
Oran's just
He's
having a
gone.
look at that one. He's probably going to set that one up if he'd come to the NCA tomorrow to give that a try. But
I think you could be there all day trying to hit that. Yeah, I just think that yellow that's locked beside the red, it's just too cosy where it is, and the energy that would have been removed from the shooter wouldn't be left, I don't
Goal
think.
line. Straight.
so just the same draw down here
Never
on the out turn counterclockwise side. Sweepers are on this one. Just nursing it into the house here.
Working it very hard. Is it enough to score 1? Just.
Indeed, yeah.
Justin, think, I don't know if that came across our microphone, but very good call from the gallery. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Power sweeping there to get it those last couple of inches. So it is one shot then to Team Muirhead. So that's 7 shots to 4 at the halfway mark in this 2025 Mercure Perth Masters final. A great force there from Team Carson, and it is a real uphill battle for Team Muirhead if they are to win this 2025 Mercure Perth Masters. If you're joining us on YouTube, on the Perth Masters YouTube page, a very warm welcome to you. If you're looking at it, it says Team China versus Team Schwaller. That game is complete. I won't spoil the result for you because you can go back and watch it on demand. It was a very interesting game all the way through. But you are now watching the men's final, Team Oran Carson against Team Glen Muirhead. So it'll be lead Stuart Stark to play the first stone of this 5th end. The farmer from Abernight. And he's got one of these autonomous self-driving tractors where he's able to watch curling while he's doing ploughing and whatever else that farmers do in tractors. He's got the full setup. Often you'll see it on Facebook. He's watching whatever competition's on in Canada or World Championships or whatever it is, and the tractor driving itself. Not to take away from the skill of the farmer, though, of course.
We gave less ice there because the other 2 times.
Yeah, good to see Stuart involved in an event like this. He's a well-known face in around Perth and Forfar and beyond. So he plays with Glenn and Thomas in the Super League, and I'm sure he's desperate to show everybody here that he's a little bit better than just the club curler that maybe
Of
people
course.
think he is.
Of course, yeah. He's. I know he told us his dad's watching in Tenerife, and his wife's watching in Uist. So a truly international audience we have here for this final.
A nice draw there from Charlie Gibb. He's played exceptionally well this week and had his weight really from the start and controlled a lot of the ends for Team Carson and having a good lead there, just getting good stone placement allows the guys just to construct ends and be competitive in this strong men's field that we've had here assembled at Perth.
So Glenn Muirhead had called for a guard here for Stuart Stark's second stone. Coming through at 17.1 seconds hog to hog and right on the centre line. Maybe a shade on the long side possibly, but
yeah, at
not
this
too
stage
far
Glenn
off it.
just wants any kind of help out there, so he's getting the guards. Probably the first one probably just didn't get that one lined up on the centre line. That now looks like Team Carson are probably going to try and tick this one, the wider one, on the right hand side of the centre line, because it's not touching the centre line, and the no tick rule allows them to have a go at this one. So probably coming down here at a back line to kind of hack weight, just catch a piece of it and spin it towards the left hand hog line, sideline.
Whoa, Carl. Whoa. Yep, light.
Right, that's nice. Enjoying this nice and tall.
Hard. Really gotta go. On the shooter.
you love the confidence as well. Just say, yeah, we'll just play a tick shot. Yeah, no problem.
This one might not be a bad result either. Sometimes tapping it to the back corner is just as effective as the tick. So
Gonna just go under it.
had a good weight there. Just probably caught the curl a little bit and caught it a little bit too thick.
Tight. I think so.
Glenn Muirhead having to put another guard up because it got to try and build something more. Simply, coming in and removing the Carson yellow isn't going to give them the number that they need. They need to rely on. They're really hoping for mistakes now from Team Carson. If Team Carson keep it tight, they've got this in the bag. Easier said than done, though. Of course, this looks a shade on the heavy side though. From second player Thomas Halder.
Yeah, pretty good spot there at the top
Yep.
of the 12 foot. It's behind that long centre guard.
Rolling. 3/4.
Thomas, another local member from Forfar. I think he plays most of his curling at, and not seen
Yep,
Thomas play
good
for
go.
a little
Go,
while.
go. Whoa,
Was
Carl.
involved in some junior programs probably a few years back. So
Gotta go.
good to see him getting involved in a team like Team Muirhead and back competing again.
Great ice rink up at Forfar. Happy memories of the
I think we play that.
playing the rink championships
Barrier
there.
nose.
Always a good weekend.
Did Airlie White win that year?
They did actually, yes, they did.
We need to make a play at some
Don't
point.
sound so surprised. I don't recall Dunning making the final.
That's fair. I'll take that one on the chin, Peter. No, a great facility they've got it for and I just thoroughly enjoyed by all the members there and anybody who go and visit the venue. So we're always well looked after.
Easy for line. Big line. Carl only. Split the middle.
So yeah, nothing much more that Team Muirhead can do here is just really, as you say earlier, Peter, is just probably just wait for a little half opportunity if it comes along. But
It's starting to build, but again, every question that's being asked of Team Carson, they're just answering them every single time. What I don't pick up any panic on the body language at all. I don't pick up any nerves. They seem so in the zone, so under control of the situation, showing maturity far beyond their years.
Yeah, I think a good call here from Orton is just to try and take away the one at 12 o'clock. It's probably the real danger one. The guard that's out front is so long, it's probably not a lot of threat to him. So, although it's overcurled and taken that one, so.
Guard again.
Now, decision time for Team Muirhead. What to do?
Well,
Do they throw up another guard?
at some point. Yeah.
Let's have a listen in.
Yeah. Nose bump. Hack. Even if this just goes to here. Back line.
Yeah, I think they were just talking about the weight. They're going to make a play on this top red that's sitting at 12 o'clock, and they were talking about whether they just wanted to bump it to freeze or to try and bump it to bump the yellow slightly further back. So they've agreed on a sort of backline weight just to put a bit of control into this.
Curl. Straight! Right, we've missed the yellow, so whoa.
Just caught it a bit on the inside there. Okay, with last stone. Excuse me, without last stone, isn't it? Because they've just taken a one. So yeah, it is Carson with last stone, but the middle kind of a little bit opened up now.
You wouldn't if I could ken with that bit. Earlier in the game, I wouldn't if I could.
A decision to make here for Team Carson, how they play this. Team Muirhead at least asking them the questions, at least not making this simple.
Yeah, they're just trying to move these around, just to
Getting that grip.
wait for their half chance. So
Curl on that.
Thomas either just a little bit light with the tap there. I think that was probably just caught the curl and over curled on him a little bit there.
It did seem to curl a lot in the last 6 feet, didn't it? Yeah, it just looked not bad out the hand, and then it just moved across.
So no mistake there from Team Carson. It was the nose hit to sit 2. So
How do I like it is?
So what do you think here on for
Do you make him face a few stones?
for Team Muirhead? They were looking to remove this yellow at 10 o'clock as we look at it, but do they want to remove
Well, aye,
the yellow shot that's counting on top of
disappear
the CURL of curling, or do they want to just sit on top of it?
yeah, I mean, I think they discussed both options of that, Peter, and you could almost even get it pretty thin and take the one on the top of the forefoot and spin
Normal
up
field.
behind the other guards. So a few options with that. They also looked at just hitting the one that sits first shot and rolling under the guards. So
You're not hitting much.
So Thomas Muirhead's second shot then of this fifth end. Team Muirhead up against
Carroll.
it. Can they fight back? 4 shots
Carroll.
behind with 4 to play, including this one. Is going to catch it
Okay.
a little bit thin. Oh, gets rid of both yellows and 2 reds stay around. Wasn't exactly what they were hoping for, but
no, I just caught that first one just a little bit too thin. Just threw it a little bit high, and with the weight that Thomas throws down there, it probably wasn't going to curl very much. So. But anyway, applies a little bit of pressure to Team Carson here. They're facing 2 counters with hammer, albeit the front's open, so shouldn't be too much risk of not scoring.
yeah, if you've got last stone, as long as the front's open, you're always got a chance, don't you? It's yeah, I think they'll be relatively calm at this moment. I think. Hello to Megan Edwards, who's watching from Hamilton. Not that Hamilton, from Hamilton, Ontario. So thank you very much for tuning in and enjoying this men's final here. between Team Muirhead and Team Carson. And Team Carson with a 7-shot-to-3 lead midway through this fifth end. And Team Muirhead really looking for that little mistake, and it is still 2 shots. Muirhead is at this point with 2 stones remaining for Team Muirhead. Team Carson with the hammer.
Yeah, Logan just came up a little bit light there and gives Muirhead the opportunity just to try and wrap one round here and just keep applying some more pressure and sit 3.
There's one behind the red. Beside it. Yes.
So Glenn Muirhead getting prepared in the
Let's hit the yellow then,
in the
Stuart.
head, just having a quick chat. Interesting quick
Keep
chat
those,
with
hit and roll to the middle.
second and third players Thomas Muirhead and Thomas Holder. Just a slight change of tact there. You play a stronger weight and look to remove.
Carl,
Unless it is second shot and he's decided just
gonna
to
go.
just keep piling it on and try and make Orrin face a few counters here.
It's still no Carl.
Looks a little bit on the high side as well. Stuart start willing it to curl a little bit, and that was not what they were hoping for at all. That was always the risk.
Yeah, I thought Glenn's initial call just to try and wrap one round there was probably more the percentage call, and he's just not made a good one there, and let Team Carson off the hook here a little bit.
He'd made his decision, and he came back into the hack, and then the decision changed. The thing is, if he pulled that shot off, we'd be going, wow, look at that. It's a game of fine margins, and this has just been one of those games where all those 50-50 calls have not played in Team Muirhead's favour, and Team Carson have just not left any gaps really. They've been the complete package in this final.
Carl. Huge line.
So Team Carson just looking to probably come top 8 footer thereby. This one's
don't
kind of
curl
hanging
it then.
high of the line.
A score of 2 here could put Team Carson home and dry. 6 up with 3 to go. There's a potential of a handshake, but all that Glenn Muirhead can do here is just play a perfect freeze there onto the counting Carson stone and hope that it hangs around.
Is it? He knows that. Knows the double.
So is this
Less, Stuart. You have to go
the
less.
last stone of this 2025 Mercure Perth Masters
Yeah.
for Glenn Muirhead, or is there still more
Inch less.
left in the tank? Is there still more twists in the tail here in this final, where the young Triple Scottish Junior champions Team Carson have been superb, belying their experience in years
On the button. Watch the line, don't
with a
kill
really mature performance.
it. Easy for line.
This has got
Thomas,
to be perfect here
listen.
from Glenn Muirhead. Brother Thomas was sweeping it early,
Hard on
then
the
switch
curl.
over to second player. They're being called on. They're being called on hard. Both working the brushes really hard, and it looks like it's just going to come up just shy. And that leaves a draw to most of the 8-foot circle there. And for Orrin Carson, that should be,
fairly thrown.
given his form this week, meat and drink. Will this be it?
Just need to be full 8. I think we can take a bit less than that.
Team Carson, they've been the benchmark team in Scotland for several years now at the junior level, but here they are in a men's international event with a stone to put them 6 shots clear with a possible 3 ends remaining.
Whoa! Play on if he gets one.
Sweeper's
that's
leaving
flying.
it fairly alone to start with, just keeping it clean. Staying a little bit on the high side to begin with. Is it there? Looks like it's going to be 2 shots then for Team Carson, putting them 9 shots to 3, and it is a handshake. That's it. Oren Carson and his team are your 2025 Mercure Perth Masters champions with a dominant performance here in the final. They win their first men's international event, and Alan Hanna, what more can we say about this young outfit? What a performance.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Just delighted that they came here and were competitive in those group games, but actually to just see the job through and win the Masters here at Perth. I mean, they join an illustrious list of names of previous winners of this great event. Special words for Team Muirhead as well. You know, they came here and they fought hard. Just wasn't their game today. Just didn't really get going in the final there. But another amazing week for them, and just demonstrates to everybody that when you're high caliber, you're always high caliber, and they'll be back again. Hopefully, I hope that Glenn Thomas and Tom and Stuart will keep going and come and join us. But yeah, special word for Team Carson. They are the real deal, and they've just proved that today. So well done to them.
I think this is just the beginning of a very special journey for those 4 young men, and well done to them. They fully deserve to be a brand new champion in the men's draw. We have 2 new champions this year in the Mercure Perth Masters. Thank you so much to you all for joining us throughout the weekend here on the Perth Masters YouTube page, and indeed on perthmasters.com. It's been a fine display of curling. To all the volunteers who helped out with this competition, thank you so much, whatever it is that you've done to help the running of this tournament. We really do appreciate it. And of course to our loyal partners, Mercure Hotels, to A&B Taxis, to Live Active Leisure, and to the Scottish Deer Centre. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very, very much. But it's Team Carson who leave Perth with the silverware. And from us all here at Deer Centre, it's goodbye.
Put the trophy to
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciated.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Piece of work.